Hi everybody, Peter here, Thailand bound. Thanks for stopping by my channel. I make videos about Thailand. Most of the videos I make are requested by my subscribers. If there's a video that you'd like me to make about Thailand, just let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do for you. Apology for today, I've got to have the heater on. I'm not in Thailand until after the new year. It's very, very cold. We've just gone into December. It's one of these blow heaters. It is efficient, but it is a little bit noisy, so hopefully you'll hear me over the top of it. It gets quite hot very, very quickly, so I might be able to turn it off soon. So that being said, let's talk about today's video. The subject matter is it's my opinion I'm going to give you today, and my opinions are based on a documentary that I recently watched, and it was about these Thai dating agencies in Western countries. More, not really dating agencies, but for guys who are looking for wives, and specifically Thai wives. You have Filipino dating agencies as well, but today we're going to talk about the Thai brides, as it were. Now, the documentary I watched, when I initially watched it, I had some thoughts that I wasn't going to make a video about. Basically, I had my own thoughts, and towards the end of the video I actually changed my mind, and I'll tell you why that is. Now, the reason I'm making this video today is I just wanted to explain something, and if you're a single guy and you're thinking about doing this, I'll give you my thoughts on whether you should or whether you shouldn't do it at the end of the video, at the end of this video. So let's talk a little bit about the video that I recently watched. Now, it was made by I think it was a BBC or the ITV, an English broadcasting company, one of the others, but it's quite a large company. What I found about it, when I watched it, I found it had a typical Western attitude towards guys who might want to go out and meet Asians, which is why a lot of guys will go out there in the first place anyway. It was a very good documentary. All the facts were pretty much accurate from what I could tell, but I just found that the narrator, you'd call him, the guy talking over the top of the documentary, he had that typical Western attitude. Although, you know, when you make a documentary, I'm guessing, I've never made a documentary, so I don't know, I'm just guessing, but I'm guessing you should be biased. You should sit on the fence, give the facts, and let people make up their own minds. But I found the presenter, let's call him presenter, I found him very condescending. The way he was describing it, it was kind of like, you know, when you go to see the Circus Freak years ago. Now, the reason I'm saying this is it's the way he described things. There was no need for it. I found it very condescending. It was very put down, and it had that Western attitude about it. You know, he'd say things like, you know, these guys were desperate, they couldn't find women, English women didn't want them. These kind of he came out with these kind of lines, which I thought was a bit unnecessary. And the words he used for, you know, basically it's guys going out to date Asian women with a view to marrying them. And he was using words like brides for sale, bargain basement brides, desperate women, desperate men, the last chance saloon for these guys. And there was just no need for it. So when I watched this video, there was 2 or 3 guys it focused on. They were professional people, they weren't bums. They owned their own houses. Their stories were pretty similar, actually, as in they were all around somewhere between 40 and 50 years of age. They'd dated or married English women. One guy had been married 3 times. He seemed like a kind of straight shooter. He didn't seem to have any bad habits or anything. Now, the other 2 guys were similar. They were just straight, normal guys that you'd meet anywhere. They all working, or they had their own businesses. They all had their own houses, which varied in size, but they were just desperate for a soulmate. They didn't want to live on their own any longer. They'd tried dating English women, they'd been married to English women, and it wasn't that they couldn't they didn't want another English woman. It's just they found it very, very difficult. They went to singles clubs, they met bitter women, they met women that they just didn't find attractive. These agencies, they advertise everywhere over the internet in hard print. They'd picked up periodicals with adverts in them, and they'd followed up on them. And this documentary that I watched followed the guys from finding the advert, thinking about it in the UK, right through to going out to Thailand, going on a date, their thoughts, and right through to its conclusion, which was marriage and bringing them back to the UK. Now, this is how negative it was. I mean, they were talking about banning the agencies. They're almost, there was a Filipino lawyer on there, a female lawyer, and she was saying that they should criminalize these services, these agencies. She was actually saying something, the government tried to do something in the Philippines because 20,000 girls a year were leaving the Philippines. They couldn't really do a lot about it. I mean, it's on the internet. No one country can police the internet. It's worldwide, obviously. Now, what would happen with these guys? They paid £3,500 to the agency in the UK. I'm not sure what that is in US dollars. You can stick it into Google, that'll tell you. I guess it's around $4,500 US dollars. Don't quote me on that though. Now, what they were doing, they'd pay the agency £3,500. They would jump on a plane, they go out to Thailand, and it was all arranged from. Now, I don't know if the fee included hotel costs, airfares. I'm guessing that the fees were an introduction fee, but would also include perhaps the hotel and transportation from the hotel to the agency. I would imagine the guy had to pay for his own airfare because that's quite an expensive item. When these guys flew out to the hotel, wherever they were, I don't know where the hotel was located, but they were somewhere in Bangkok, they'd be picked up by the Thai equivalent, the Thai manager of the dating agency. He worked for the British guy who owned the company. The British guy was married to a Thai, he had children, he's living in the UK. But he had his partner who was a Thai guy. He ran that side of things, if you can get what I mean. Now, when the guys got picked up in the van, they went round to his agency, and there'd be approximately 6 to 7 girls sat in hard plastic chairs. A very clinical room. It wasn't a kind of romantic or set up to create any kind of atmosphere. It was kind of like going into a Thai dental surgery. It was just white plastic chairs. Anyway, there were 6 girls sitting on these chairs. The English guy would walk into the room, he'd say hello to all of them. The 6 girls would, why, and basically give their greeting back to the guy. He'd go and sit down with the Thai manager, and the Thai manager would explain from 1 to 6 what the girls' names were, and it was cringe TV when you watched it, because the Thai manager was kind of laughing because he was nervous, grinning, and the English guy was very, very nervous. I mean, I really felt for these poor guys. They got on the plane, they'd gone over there, but it was cringe TV. I mean, I felt sorry for them. But they did pick a girl, and it was quite interesting because the one thing that stuck out was that none of the girls spoke any English, and my thoughts at that point was, well, why would you go and pay £3,500, go to an agency, none of the girls speak English, bring her home and marry her? I thought, stupid. But I've changed my mind, and I'll tell you why at the end. Now, as I say, they'd have their choice of 6 girls, they'd pick one, they'd go on a date. There was no English involved, there wasn't an interpreter. As I say, it was quite cringe-worthy to watch, but the girl generally, she was interested in the guy. I'm guessing she probably would have been interested in any guy that wanted to marry her. Most of the girls had children from a previous marriage, and it was just fundamentals. They wanted somebody to look after them. They weren't gold diggers, they weren't hookers, they just wanted somebody to look after them, and they wanted a better life for themselves and their children. And obviously they'd heard from other girls who had gone abroad that they'd had good lives. So that's what happened. These 3 guys, they did pick a girl. They married the one in particular. He went up to up north, Isan somewhere. He married, typical Thai wedding, he married his wife in Thailand. And I really felt sorry for the guy. I mean, he didn't know what was going on. He was sitting in a village in Isan, sweating his cobs. And he got through the day, but I don't think it was the most enjoyable experience of his lifetime, to be honest. So he married his Thai bride, and he went back. Now, apparently you're allowed to bring a Thai girl over to the UK on a 6 months marriage visa. If you marry her, then I think, from what I understand from that documentary, if you marry her within 6 months, she's entitled to stay for a further year. You're responsible for her. She can't work, she can't claim any benefits, and all her needs have to be taken care of by you. After 1 year, she's allowed to stay in the country by herself. So in theory, you could turn around and say she might be using me. After a year, she'll clear off, but it didn't seem to happen. Now, I had a little bit of a negative attitude myself when I watched it. You know, it was kind of, yeah, this ain't going to work out. You know, she'd marry anybody, and but I was surprised actually. You know, what had happened is the guy went back on. We'll talk about this one guy. He was a doctor in the Navy. He was very lonely, had a nice house. He went back first of all, and his Thai wife at that time, now married in Thailand, actually followed him several months later. He picked her up at the airport, introduced her to, sorry I keep looking up guys, my CCTV's up there, and a car has just pulled up. I'm just wondering who's outside my house. This video, the documentary, it only actually followed the girl and the guy who got married up to the 1 year point. It wasn't very detailed once the girl had arrived in the UK. It was mainly focused on the guys going out to Thailand, meeting the girl and bringing her back to the UK. But I was a little bit skeptical as well. I watched this documentary, and they all worked out. All three cases worked out. The girls came over, they didn't speak English initially. There were some nice neighbours, some girls in the neighbourhood who tried to befriend these Thai girls. The Thai girls make great wives. They'd look after the house, they'd look after the guy. He was real happy. They were all happy. There was a couple of cases that didn't work out, but when I tell you, I'll give you an example of one, and when you hear this, you'll know straight away. There was one guy. He was a director of a large company in the UK, very wealthy, nice retirement package. Believe it or not, his age when he got married to a Thai girl, and there's a sting in the tail, he was 75 years of age. 75. How old do you think his Thai bride was? 23. Ridiculous. When they interviewed him, he said, she's a gold digger. She asked me for £5,000. Well, I mean, surprise, surprise. You're 75, she's 23. Does that come as a surprise? When they interviewed the girl, she ended up working in a restaurant, a kitchen, washing dishes in a kitchen in a restaurant in London, and they were going to deport her. When they interviewed her, she said he was a sex maniac and he wanted sex every day. Well, if he did, at 75, he's doing well. But that was the one that didn't work out. The other three, it did work out. So let me give you my thoughts on what I make of the whole situation. Now, I've been visiting Thailand for 3 decades, 27 years to be exact. I lived out there for 6 years continually. Because of this, when I watched this documentary last night, or the night before, I thought to myself, why would you want to pay an agency £3,500 just to meet these girls who don't even speak English? If it was me, I'd fly out there and I'd walk around the supermarkets, I know where to meet them, and blah blah blah. And I thought about it again, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, you know, I can still remember the first night I was in Thailand. Now, I hadn't gone out there to live at that time. I was working in Singapore. My boss for the company I was working for had sent me to the Philippines. On the way back, it was cheaper for him to have me stay in a hotel in Bangkok for one night and then fly on to Singapore the following morning. That's how it worked out. So I had one night in Bangkok in 1992. I went very frequently after that. But I can still remember being in my hotel in Bangkok in 1992. I must have been 32 at the time. I'm 60 in April. But I can still remember thinking to myself, well, this city's famous for girls. Where are they all? I didn't do anything about it. I was only there for the one night. I think I stayed in the room and had a meal and watched a bit of TV, and an early night. I was quite tired. So thinking about it, these guys, they wouldn't have a clue. They'd never been to Thailand before. They knew there were opportunities, possibilities to meet Asian women, but they hadn't been there before. And thinking about it, I totally went full circle and changed my mind. As I say, initially I thought, well, why would you want to go to an agency and pay all that money when you can just go there yourself and, you know, hang around Soi 4 or wherever it is you want to go and pick them up yourself. Now, the other thing that kind of struck me was the fact that none of them spoke English, and I thought, well, that'd be no good. What's the point of that? You better go in there and at least speak to a girl who speaks some English. At least you can have a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of conversation with her. But again, think about it really, guys. If a Thai woman is a professional and she speaks good English and she's been university educated, then she's likely to be working for a big company, or she'll be married or engaged to a professional Thai guy. She's not going to be hanging around Sukhumvit looking for foreign guys, especially 5 times her weight. Now, if you get these girls from the villages and they do speak English, obviously it's quite an attractive, I can't think of the word, opportunity. It's quite an attractive opportunity to think, well, this girl likes me, I can date her, and she already speaks English. So that's quite tempting. That's the word I was looking for, tempting. But think about it, guys. If these girls speak English, they come from a farming community. They haven't been educated formally, and they're speaking pretty good English. Why is that? It's because they've spent a lot of time around foreigners. And why would they spend a lot of time around foreigners? There's only one reason. They work in the bars. Whether it's a go-go bar, a beer bar, whatever. They've had a lot of contact with foreign men, and that contact leads to, I'm not going to say it because it's YouTube, you know what I'm trying to say. On the other hand, the girls that these guys met who didn't speak any English, yes, it was difficult for them. It was really difficult. You know, as I say, it was a bit cringe TV. You'd watch them in a Thai restaurant, a lot of smiling going on, but the guy was talking, but she couldn't understand what he was saying. She was smiling politely. So it was very difficult for them. But as the documentary showed, the girls, they did stay with their English husbands, and it all worked out, and it appeared to work. So why not? So my opinion is this: if you're an English guy who is finding it very, very difficult to get into a relationship, and you're looking for a soulmate, a wife, somebody to spend time with, you're just fed up of living on your own, and you're thinking about this, going out there and with an agent and trying to choose a girl, I'd recommend it. Actually, after watching that documentary, I would recommend it for several reasons rather. Now, if you're a self-employed carpenter or a plumber or electrician, I know you guys have got plenty of money. I own some property that I rent out, a couple of flats I bought when I was young. And whenever I need any work done, whether it be plumbing, electrical work, building work, it takes me longer to get one of you guys around there than it does for me to get an appointment with the doctors. And that's saying something nowadays. So you've got plenty of money because you've got plenty of work. So 3.5 grand, jump on a plane, get out there and see what opportunities. The only thing I'd say, the only bit of advice I'd give you is do not rush into it. These guys, one of these guys, he asked the girl to marry him within 3 days of meeting her. Well, I think that's a pretty ridiculous, really. I think a better way to do it would be to go out there for a little bit longer than the agency recommends, maybe a month if you can get a month off, and just spend the time with her, meet her, do the tourist bit, go around the temples, the floating market, that sort of thing, and just see how it goes. And if she seems like a nice girl, which I'm sure she is because she's gone to the agent, you haven't picked her up in a bar, then take it slowly. And if you like her, why not? What have you got to lose? You paid the agent's fee, so you might as well. And if anybody looks down their noses at you and gives you attitude and they're negative about it, so what? Don't worry about it. Who are they in your lives? They're not. You live alone, you want some company, you've met your Thai girlfriend who you've now married, you're happy, she's happy, you both got something out of the marriage. Who cares what your neighbours think? Stuff them, and that's my thoughts. So guys, as I say, it's an opinion, and as I always say in all of my videos, opinions are like backsides. Everybody's got one. What I've said is not written in stone. You don't have to take it on face value, but that is my opinion. And I truly believe if you're single, you're finding it difficult to hook up with a woman, get on a plane over to Thailand and marry a Thai girl. Don't worry about what other people think. So that's it, guys. Just my thoughts on these Thai dating agencies today. I hope that gave you a little bit of food for thought. If you're one of these guys who are thinking of going out there, you've got nothing to lose really except a bit of money. That's it, guys, for this video. Thanks for stopping by. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give me a thumbs down. But it'd be nice if you could subscribe, and you'll see follow-up videos on all sorts of different subjects.